Welcome to Honest Whispers Review to Sale. On this video I'll be reviewing a story image figure, Cowboy Bebop Spiegel Gashapon figure. It was released by Yamato back in early to mid 2000s. And there's no designer or sculptor that's credited to this figure. It is a Gashapon, so it comes in a mystery box, and it just comes in little pieces. The arm comes off where the elbows are, both arms at the elbows. The head where his shirt is at, and the torso, and of course the base. This is actually around 5¼ inches tall when you measure up slightly above. So for its scale, a lot of details. I'm going to go over 5 different categories to review this. First category is the design. Basically covers the concept and the pose. And as you can see, this pose is very dynamic. Awesome pose. He's standing, obviously on one leg. Got the kick going. Ankle's even a little tilted. He has the gun kind of on his chest. So this is like a perfect, like a sidekick form. He even has kind of like a relaxed open hand, which is like dead on the way he does his kicks on the anime. So it's just characteristically like point on. And out of all like the figures and statues of Spiegel that I've seen, this is definitely my favorite because the pose is very dynamic. There's nothing like it. Most other ones, he's just kind of standing and holding a gun, or he's kind of like leaning against the wall. They still look cool, but I think something like this looks a little, just way more dynamic. And just kind of grabs your attention a lot more. So I would definitely give this a very high score, but there is a minor flaw, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a hit to this on the design, because when you look at his leg, there is a slight bend on his knee. So over time, what happens is his upper body is way heavier than his leg. So over time, this point right here where it thins out on his knee begins to bend to the point where it doesn't look right. And also, because even right now it's starting to look a little weird at a slight angle. You can't really notice it yet, but the problem is that it's gonna topple over. So it can't stand on its own. So I would have to, kind of fold it back gently the other way. It doesn't crease or break. But of course, just doing that is just a very temporary fix. Sometimes I would have to lean it or keep it off the leg and then kind of lean it. Just kind of lean it on its side so that it's sort of like, doesn't put any stress on the leg and gets its shape back. So it's a slight minor flaw. As a designer, you might want to take in a better account to it. I know it is a sidekick, so it's hard to just kind of keep that. But they could have at least, used a stiffer material, or maybe, I don't know, designed a little, like a skeleton pole or something. It looks cleaner this way, but a brace might have helped too. But either way, with the brace, that would have made it look a little messier. So the design, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, just from that minor flaw. Next category is the sculpting, which covers the details, the molding and quality of the cast or the casting. And basically you can tell from the top right here, he has a lot of details on his hair. It looks very realistic. It matches his kind of the curly hair that he's characterized with in the anime. So I think it's done really well because it has a lot of details. At the same time, they kept the actual anime look of it. As you can see, the shape of his face, head, everything, body, the way it's all skinny long legs, just like the anime style. Very nicely sculpted. A lot of details on his suit. You can see a lot of the wrinkles, like where his sleeves are, where the fold is. And basically kind of gives it a more realistic look to it, because it as you can see, like on his back, the way it's kind of contorting and twisting, the lines really fit his body's position. So the sculpting, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a perfect 10 out of 10. There's pretty much no flaws. Everything looks great. Even the fingers, for its size, very nicely done. You could even see how the pointer and the pinky is separated. Even the details on the gun to the other side where his fingers are holding it. And this just can't be a sculpting problem. That's something where the designers should have accounted for being, you know, at least weight wise, lopsided, because he's much heavier on this side. So next category is painting, which covers, you know, it's self-explanatory, but pretty much covers the accuracy and the quality of the paint. And of course the paint job itself. There isn't much flaws to it, especially for this size. You can see his eyes are pretty much perfectly painted, drawn, however you want to say it. I'm suspecting it almost looks like decal. They probably had some kind of garb or something, like a paint guard to spray that. Biggest flaw out of any paint job on this figure would be the necktie. As you can see, it's a bit squiggly and rough on the edges, especially on the top side. It kind of thickens up rather than thinning out, tapering to a thinner point. It's not a huge flaw, but very noticeable when you look really up close. Now when you look from far away, you really can't tell, and does add to the wiggly, the wiggly lines or the edges, kind of add to the fabric effect. So since it is a necktie. Other than that, lines are drawn pretty straight. There are certain areas here, like where the sleeve is, you can see the light blue, the light grayish blue is going over on the dark, I guess, purplish blue. So you can see the line kind of going over the border, very minor. You can see, I guess that does fit in a way. I don't know, it should have been black all the way up, or I guess if you had matching colored socks, that would make sense. So can't really say if that's a flaw or not. but in my opinion, I would have rather have it all the way black all the way through. Make it like, you know, because it still kind of looks like his boots. So other than that, which you can't really tell at all at normal distance. Very minor flaws. So because of that, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 on the painting score. Next category is value. Value basically is, you know, the retail cost versus the aftermarket cost, supply demand. So this basically was, when I bought it at a local anime store, it was about $8.99 to $9.99. Right now I try to look it up through many different sites like Google, Amazon, and eBay. There is no listing on this whatsoever, so very rare, as I suspected. And comparing to the price of Faye Valentine, which comes from the same line, you know, because Faye's value is up there, and pretty much, I guess a matter of, you know, finding the buyer, of course, but at least for something listed new on Faye Valentine, I remember seeing it for like $120. So this one, figure aftermarket, should be very high. I mean, just by the looks of it. I do have to say, it is a minor nuisance to kind of like bend this, you know, back to straighten it up once in a while. But other than that, as you can see, there's no signs of damage, scratches, or anything like that. Once again, this was displayed behind the glass case. But it's just that over time, you can see that his knee will eventually bend to the point where it can't even stand on its own. So it's a minor flaw, but other than that, value is definitely up there. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 on the value score. So overall, which basically covers the score from the prior categories, for a figure this small, there's so much details. It looks very awesome, very dynamic. I mean, you really can't see other figures with this type of pose around, even on different anime, different series, countries, you know, made from other different countries, different manufacturers. So very unique. I mean, it is almost close to perfect, just, you know, minor flaws here and there. So the overall score, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9 out of 10. Definitely one of my favorite pieces. Hate to kind of let it go, but unfortunately, and even looking at other Spike Spiegel statues or figures, there's just nothing like it. So I'll probably list this up on different sites and, you know, selling apps, and see where it goes. So to recap, design 9 out of 10, sculpting 10 out of 10, painting 9 out of 10, value 10 out of 10, and overall 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Until next time. If you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, I would recommend it.